every story that I report, it doesn't matter if it's on the drug epidemic, on coal, on water, clean water and access to it. I don't think I've reported a single story where I haven't heard the phrase or some iteration of it of we kept the lights on for this state and now no one cares about us, something like that. So it's a region of people that feel kind of forgotten. And when you look at the drug epidemic and its effects, it tends to also be the region that is hardest hit. I try to do a balance of reporting on focusing on the bad things. You can't ignore the bad things, right? But one of the good stories I get to do, and I've done this for the last 2 years, and I hope to go like every year, even if I'm not covering it, because I think it's such a cool event. A softball tournament every year that brings in the people that are participants in the drug court. So there's people who have addiction issues, but are sober for the time being. They're in recovery. And Michelle Akers is actually the head of the Day Report Center in Southern West Virginia. So I met her at one of these softball tournaments, and we started talking, and this was around the time that Logan County, which is where she's from Man, was looking at passing an ordinance to ban needle exchange programs in the county. We started talking about that a little bit, and she told me about this new program that she was starting called Fresh Start.
I'm a licensed psychologist, received a master's degree in child clinical psychology, came back here to Logan, and I worked at Logan Regional Medical Center for a while, and then I opened a private practice. So in my private practice, I primarily worked with children. And then the opioid epidemic hit this town pretty hard, and my work was kind of forced to shift to more substance use disorder treatment. So I started doing work here at the Day Report Center, way back when they opened drug court. I think it was about 2006 or 7. I was a contractual psychologist for them. I did their assessments, I did some therapy, and I just really liked what the Day Report was and just what it did to help, get people back on their feet. And so I left private practice in 2012, and I came here as the executive director. And so now I'm the license in charge here and the executive director, and we have 4 counties: Boone, Lincoln, Logan, and Mingo. It didn't used to be this busy. When I first took this job back in 2012, I truly thought that I was in a position where, wow, this is easy. This is so much easier than private practice. But as the problem's gotten worse, and particularly since heroin and meth have made its way to our area, we keep getting busier and busier, and we keep getting more and more clients. And the clients that we work with, unfortunately, are in such unmanageable states of their life that it just takes an entire team of people just to help keep them stable.
That is called the DOT Award for the Funeral Directors Association. It's basically kind of like, I don't really want to say it like this, but like Funeral Director of the Year. That was when we had the flooding in the state of West Virginia, the Greenbrier area, where a lot of people died. We, along with the Day Report, took in donations and we had, I'm going to say 20-some clients from the Day Report Center that volunteered to go into, we went to Gully Bridge, Ravenswood, those areas to help people clean out their homes, do things like that. We even prepared a meal for everybody that day that was there. The county commission had a truckload of mattresses and box springs that they took up there. And so we took, I think, 2 U-Hauls full of supplies. We went into people's homes, helped them rip out their carpets. I mean, and when I say we, I mean the clients from the day, like I said, about 20-some clients volunteered their time to go. They didn't have to do it, but they volunteered to go, and some of their staff members. And so we probably got home 11, 12 o'clock that night. They spent the whole day, week before, gathering supplies. And so I was awarded that through the Funeral Association. And just in these little beds here, there's 40 some. The students raised, they started at the Day Report Center by seed, growing things there, and then brought it and transplanted it. But they have taken, this season alone, about 2,500 pounds of fresh produce to the food pantry. Come down here once a week and harvest everything. So we'll go collect some eggs here. They just started producing eggs just not a few weeks ago because they weren't mature enough yet. So we'll collect them back here. Don't you dare. They say I'm the best dressed chicken farmer around.
Well, I mean, I'm not naive enough to realize that there's no way that our efforts alone will solve this problem for our region. As I told you all before, like I've seen it grow and grow to a point of it's become a monster. It's bigger than I would have ever imagined it would possibly get. And I don't know where the plateau will be. So I think for my sanity, I have to view it as, making a dent. If we can help, obviously we want to help as many people as we can. If we can, if we can help 20% of the people that come to the Day Report's door, then I think I will view that as a success. Right. And I think success looks very different for each person. I don't know that there's any one entity that could actually put an end to this. I feel like unfortunately it's gotten way out of control to a point of, I don't want to say a point of no return, but things aren't going to ever be the way they were before the opioid epidemic came. And so I use that a lot. I say making a dent a lot because I just feel like, we just keep punching away and just trying to bruise this monster. Maybe not murder the monster, but bruise it.
People don't want to learn the facts about treatment and recovery and things like that. And until everybody will start to do that, then nothing's going to change around here. It's going to be the same, and this area is going to end up being nothing. We've already started losing our population. Businesses are closing. If we don't come together and help with treating and trying to stop this epidemic, nothing's ever going to happen. You can see how we get about this. I think both of us, Michelle and I both, came from families that have spent their whole life helping other people. And so that's just what we do. And I don't see it any other way. I mean, it's natural. I mean, I don't understand why other people won't do it. You know, we talked about when we went into town, you saw the nice big sign, talks about Logan is the friendliest town in West Virginia. Logan is a friendly town. It's a great town. I've lived here all my life, and you know, I would do anything for Logan. But it bothers me that I drive into town every day and see that, and then know that there are people in this town that don't want to help other people. So how can you be the friendliest town in West Virginia when you want to run people out of this town? So that's just, it's very bothersome to me.
No matter how different we are as Appalachians to Californians to New Englanders, there's a lot of understanding, I think, being read about what this issue is, and it doesn't matter who you are, it can affect you. And I think that's for the better, because the more that we have that, the more that politicians from any breed are going to try and fix this. They're going to have at least some constituents in their districts that really, really are affected and have had their lives upended by this. And that's really sad. That is horrible. But if we can understand how widespread it is, there's no excuse for anyone not being involved in the solution. And think of, in what other situation would you ever sit there and say, I'm not going to be a part of this. They should just die. They've brought this on themselves. I can't think of anything. I really can't. You know, you could talk about criminals, I guess. A lot of people, we have the death penalty in some states. I guess people think that, you know, you commit a crime and you should be in jail. I also don't think, I think that thought is evolving a lot, especially as we have more and more drug offenders in jail and less violent crimes. And that's, you know, if you're going to define yourself, you have to sit there and you're the one that has to look at yourself in the mirror every morning and go to bed and know who you are. And if you're willing to let a generation of people die, then who are you?
Treatment works. People do recover.
Right.
I mean, it's that simple, really. Like, it takes a lot of support, compassion, decency, kindness, but people do get better.
You have to give somebody a chance, and it might be more than one chance. You know, sometimes it takes 4 or 5 times or even more, but you know, if it helps them, that's what you got to do.
And you know, we're not enablers.
No.
We don't enable. If somebody needs to be held accountable for something, then they need to be held accountable for something. The day report is sometimes referred to as hug-a-thug, which, you know, I don't respond to that very well. It's so far from true. Like, treatment's hard. It's a lot harder than going up to jail and playing cards and laying around. I mean, you know, treatment requires a lot of soul searching and work. And fighting through cravings and fighting triggers is not easy. Staying sober is not easy. It requires a lot of work. And I just think people need to understand that. And a lot of support. Absolutely right.
The person needs people to just kind of say, hey, I got your back. You know, if you need something, I'll be here.
But good things are happening. Things are finally, like there are more and more people who are supportive of recovery and there's a lot of good things happening to try to help people down their path of recovery. There's a lot more options than there were even 3 years ago. So, I mean, the help is out there if people want it and are at a point where they can get to it. And heck, we're coming to you now. So with the QRT,
people are learning too a little bit more now what they are doing and are actually walking into the office and saying, "Hey, I need help." So they know it's there now, and you know, so that's just the support. Don't judge it until you actually learn about it. You ask questions and learn the facts.
Yeah.
So do you get a lot of pushback personally against you helping those with substance abuse disorders? And how do you think the film could have shown that in a more accurate way?
I don't think we get any pushback from it. I mean, I'm sure we probably do, but not straight to our face. I'm sure people probably do talk behind our back, like, why are you doing what you do? Not to us, but like I said, behind our back. But I really don't care if they want to talk that way, that's fine. So, because we're going to keep doing what we do, no matter what anybody says. So that's just the way I look at it. But I mean, what do you think?
What I've found over the last few years, for example, in 2017, we did the overdose awareness event, and I was afraid to do it. I was afraid. I really gave my staff, like, we talked about it, and what are we going to do when we get this backlash? What are we going to do when this person says this about us? And, my staff really, I have to give them all the credit. They're the ones that said to me, we can't keep worrying about what these people are going to say. We have people dying every day, and we have to be the voice. And so I said, all right, well, let's just be the voice.
Right.
And truly, that event, we thought there were going to be the staff, some clients, and maybe 2 or 3 community members. When we started advertising, it grew to a point where we had to move to two bigger venues,
Right.
to be able to hold everybody.
And
so
do a Facebook Live with it.
Yeah, and because we couldn't hold everybody.
It was standing room only.
Mm-hmm.
Just like she said, overwhelming response to it.
So for me, I've almost learned that there's more people out there who want to share their stories and they want to show that they are part of this voice of people that are suffering and people that are in recovery. But because the stigma is so great, a lot of people just kind of stay in the shadows and wait on somebody else to step up and organize something, and then they'll come forward.
Some people are afraid to share their story.
Sure.
And, because like you said, the backlash,
Stigma.
But this gave them an opportunity to be able to share their story with people who have similar stories. And it was, to me, it was one of the best events we've ever done. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to doing another one.
And then the quick response team. We really anticipated the quick response team was going to get a lot of negative press and negative publicity. And, there's been a few Facebook posts, but there's a few Facebook posts about everything, Right. Really what has happened is it's become a way for people to reach out and get their family members, their loved ones help. Mm-hmm. So it's actually opened doors for some people to get more help. So I think as we keep speaking up and doing events and getting it out there that there is a recovery community in Logan County, and we do have to be a voice for the people who need us to, hopefully that stigma will continue to go to the back burner. We
were making pretty good strides with the community effort right up until March when COVID hit, and it has just kind of slowed. We were going to events, talking. More people were wanting to get involved with the Fresh Start program as volunteers to help. Mm-hmm. And then COVID hit, and now it's just come to a halt. So, but that's not going to stop us from doing what we do. And as soon as we can get back out and start up again, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right. What do you guys take for people that have lived in this area and that know like the severity of the situation, like how are they reacting to this kind of thing, like just to the to the epidemic and everything.
That's a tough one.
Well, I do think there's a cultural piece to this. I really do. I think that Appalachians have had to persevere through a lot, just, through time.
Right.
And I think that it's almost, you just have to toughen up and get through it. And we're also very fatalistic in Appalachia, and I can't really tell you why that is. I guess just historically, it just kind of is the case. And so because we are so fatalistic, I think that makes people, you almost think, well, there's no fixing this. But if you're going to fix it, you better do it. And you better do it right now, because we're going to get, like it's almost a double-edged sword, really, because I don't think he's going to change, but if my kid gets it, then my kid better straighten up and better straighten up quick, so I do think it's cultural. I don't know that I have a good answer for that. I have definitely seen it, and I've spoken with other professionals about it, and so we do know it's there. We do recognize it. I think there are some other factors I really don't want to get into, because I don't want to offend anybody, but I do think that I'll just say it broad. I do think that there are some churches that are teaching some of this, and that's a big part of the stigma. So, but I'm certainly not saying that every church does. I just think that there are some people who are interpreting things and teaching that way.
Right.
Probably not a real clear answer, but
it's one of those questions that it's like, it kind of puts you into a corner, so you have to decide how you are going to deal with it. That's a good answer.
There's so much more to this story that you can't get in 15 or 20 minutes. Exactly. And there's just so much more that could be done with this. And I think it would be a great help to our area to get more information out in this type of way.
And, I've certainly talked to different people. We have friends who very much live, I don't want to have anything to do with those people. And a lot of the times it's because they have been personally affected in some way. Maybe their store has been broken into and they've lost a lot of money. Maybe their homes have been robbed. Maybe they have a loved one, or,
that they've dealt with.
So normally it comes from somewhere,
Right.
And I think it just takes a lot of education and a lot of just seeing that, okay, well, things might not have worked out for this person, but look at all of these people over here who are in recovery.
Right. Yeah. To like
a lot.
Yeah, like bridge the gap so that it's not so much those people anymore. You can move on to the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. I think it would be cool. I'm still trying to work everything out, but I'm definitely coming back. So
awesome.
Okay, and then what are local and national news reports about issues related to substance abuse disorders missing about the story?
If you're on the outside looking in, it looks like you just go get some MAT and you go get some counseling and things get better. That is just so far from what the reality looks like, because there are so many other factors that play in. You have to, a lot of times you're dealing with housing issues. You're dealing with, just having no money at all, no food. So you have to really rebuild your entire life. And you can't even start with rebuilding relationships or looking for a job. First, you got to get shelter. You have to get, you have to get your teeth fixed or get some teeth. You have tattoos covering your body that keep you from being employable because, for whatever reason, you have a syringe on your hand now, a picture of a syringe. And so there are so many other factors. It's just such a hard process. And it really, I think, looks like it's just a matter of, the answer is Vivitrol or Suboxone or Sublocade, and get some counseling, and, you'll be ready to you'll be great. And it's just,
everything will be fine.
yeah, it takes years to destroy your life, and it's going to take years to rebuild it. And I also think that the recovery community has been a little bit left out of the media and the role that the recovery community plays, because I will tell you that through this pandemic, my whole staff has worked tirelessly, but the recovery coaches, they're the ones that, I mean, not that my other staff isn't, but the recovery coaches have just worked 12 and 14-hour days staying connected to people to try to keep them going. And just the passion that they have to help somebody because they once were in those shoes. Like, I just feel like that is such a key piece to how we're going to get more people in recovery is through, you know, we have to build a bigger recovery community. I don't think we can have a big enough recovery community. And I think that the media just kind of leaves them out, and they're the crucial piece. So,
yeah.
And the pandemic, oh my goodness, with the pandemic, there are so many things we could do. Like, I cannot name enough people who were 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 18 months in recovery. And now because of this pandemic, they are absolutely completely in relapse, struggling, you know, people who have been arrested that were, you know,
we're very close to graduation. I mean,
but we've had graduates who have relapsed and have called and said, oh my God, I've relapsed, help me, you know. I think that is going to be something that could definitely be covered. How has this pandemic changed the faces of recovery?
Yeah. It's flipped everybody
unbelievable.
Like upside down. So let alone the people that are already like struggling to, you know, get by and do those kinds of things. So
yeah, we have had a lot of relapses.
Yes.
We had one client that overdosed. He is alive. No, I'm sorry, two clients that overdosed. They are both alive. No, three. Wow.
Keep going.
I mean, the days they blur, you know. The two were hospitalized. All three were Narcaned. So everybody's alive, thank God. Placing people in detox has been harder. Some hospitals for a while completely stopped accepting new referrals. Now they've started back up again, but you know, they have a lot of restrictions as well. We are back to half staff in the office, half staff at home, still doing all of that telehealth stuff, but because we have so many clients that don't have internet or even access to get to internet, we are now allowed, thank goodness, to let people come back to the centers. Some clients are begging to, like, we need groups, we want to be there. They're used to being there all day long, and we just can't with the restrictions. So it has been very challenging. My staff is exhausted. They're exhausted. The clients are very just isolated and more so than normal, stressed, overwhelmed, scared, like all of us, you know. So it's been a challenge.
And I mean, you guys thought you were busy before, like.
I know. Because of this, you know, we've been able to step back and gain a lot of insight into ways that we can simplify things and communicate better as a staff to help people better, you know, to do a better job. And so that has been beneficial, and we've been talking about that, and I just can't compliment my staff enough. Like, my gosh, they've really gone so far above and beyond what their paycheck shows. I mean, they really have. I would have, you know, who knew what was going to happen with this? And I never predicted that my staff would do the level of work that they have done. And thank God, because they've saved a lot of lives in doing so.